Chapter 1. Lilian, wake up now. Yo, you are running late, screamed my mum as she came towards my room. Mum, just let me have another 10 minutes, please. I muttered in my pillow in a low voice. No, Lilian. You need to get up now. You are late for school already. All right. I'm coming now, Mom. I got up from my sweet bed and muttered, whatever. But Mon heard me perfectly because we werewolves have enhanced hearing. She came to me and pulled me out of bed. Hurry up, my dear. I made your favourite breakfast. It's pancakes with chocolate chips, she said to me and then walked out of my room. I went to my bathroom and quickly to a shower. I didn't want to waste too much time on this because apparently my stomach was growling already. After the shower, I changed into my undergarments and wore a white plain t-shirt together with a black vest and black skinny jeans. Oh, and don't forget my black ankle boots and purple gold locket. Yes, my favourite colours are black, white and purple. After that, I put on some mascara and lipstick. I looked at my reflection and put my hair to the side of my perfect pale and a bit tanned skin. Perfect. Then, I grabbed my iPod, earphones, school backpack and my glasses. I don't really need to wear them, but it's more like a part of my uniform, to show that I'm a bookworm or a nerd. I went downstairs and saw my mom and dad who were warriors of the Silver Angel Pack. Thanks to them, I also have warrior blood in me. But I don't feel honoured or whatsoever. I'm just a child, and if you ask me what I want to have an Aston Martin, I'd say. After I finished my pancakes, I grabbed my car keys and headed to the White Beast, my Maserati. By now, you may think I am the most popular girl in our school, but I'll say you are wrong. I put my keys into the ignition and headed to the place you may want to call it high school. I headed to school and parked my White Beast. A lot of people were staring at me, but I just had my shades on and shrugged it off. Hey, Lily! I heard a familiar voice calling my name. I knew instantly it was my best friend Hannah. We literally have known each other from the moment we were born. We were born in the same hospital. She was born just 30 minutes later than me. Our parents were good friends, and naturally, we became good friends too. Hey, Hannah! I shouted back to her happily. Did you hear that, Lily? Abbott Davis, the most popular dude in our school, is going to try and find his Luna, she exclaimed excitedly. Everyone in the school parking lot should have heard her saying. But what does that have to do with me, Hannah? I replied uninterested. Listen, Lily. She grabbed my arm as I was about to leave. You always say that, but what is that? Luna happens to be you. I shrugged her off without answering her question. But soon, I smelled a unique scent that got my inner wolf yelling and jumping for joy. I quickly turned to the direction where that scent was from and looked around in hope of finding a figure that I have been waiting for over the past 18 years. Night. Chapter 2. I was stunned by this unexpected encounter. My wolf was screaming inside of me. I was happy that I smelled my mate, but I knew something bad was about to happen. Hello? Lily. Did you hear me? Hannah shouted while snapping her fingers in front of my face. I'm sorry, Hannah, I said uncertainly. Why did you just zone out like that, Lily? She asked me with a suspicious look on her face. As I was trying to find an answer, the bell rang. Okay, Hannah, time for classes now. Let's go. Well, I guess you could say I was saved by the bell. We walked to our homeroom and sat at the back as usual. As we entered our class, the scent grew weak and I was relieved. But I also felt a bit sad. You have just missed our mate, my wolf said to me. She sounded quite disappointed. Come on, we will find him now or later. After all, we are in the same school, I replied. She rolled her eyes and went back into my mind. I listened to our homeroom teacher, Mrs. Brown, welcoming us back as sophomores. After that, I looked out the window and I saw a pair of green eyes watching me. This must be some sort of illusion. I shrugged it off. After homeroom, I headed to my locker. Halfway there, I smelled that scent again. I picked up my pace, and soon I felt a pair of hands grab my wrists and lammed me against the lockers. I felt a lot of sparks and shocks. A shiver went down my spine. I quickly looked up and then I saw my mate, Abbott Davis, the future alpha of the Silver Angel Pack. But when I looked into his green eyes, I saw nothing but disgust and anger. You, listen carefully, because I'll only say it once, he said in a cold tone. I know what you are thinking right now, but I tell you, you are not my mate. I am the future alpha of our pack, and I need someone who deserves to become my Luna. And you are not one of them. I gazed upon him silently as he continued to say, I, Abbott Davis, future alpha of the Silver Angel Pack, Hereby reject you, Lilian Rodriguez, as my mate. After his declaration, he just stood there with a smirk and thought that I would break down to tears. But instead, I replied him with 3 words only. Well, just go away. Chapter 3, Abbott's POV. Well, just go away. I stood there shocked. What does she mean by that? She didn't care at all. She must be lying. But when I looked into her eyes, I realized it is true. I saw fury and disdain in her eyes. She meant exactly what she said. Oh my God, what on earth are you doing, Abbott? Screamed my wolf inside of me. Why did you just reject her? Clearly he could not hold his anger. I rejected her because she is not Luna material. She does not deserve to be a Luna. I am an alpha, and I was supposed to choose someone who deserves. Someone who has high social status just like me. Don't you get it? I replied, but honestly speaking, I know what I'm talking about is just bullshit. The real reason why I rejected her this quickly is because I sensed her this morning, and I don't want to enter a relationship with her right now. Well, I'm still busy playing around with my current girlfriend, Krystal. Why would I bother to mate with my actual mate when I have a beautiful girlfriend already? Yes, you may call me a playboy indeed. But that's me, the most popular boy in this school. I, Lilian Rodriguez, accept your rejection, she said emotionlessly. After a few seconds of silence, she said, well, I shall see you around. Then she simply walked away to the front entrance of the school and out of the door. When I saw her walk through the door without looking back, my wolf was sobbing inside me. I was still wondering if she really meant what she said. Suddenly, I had an idea that my wolf wasn't into. He kept telling what to do, but I just blocked him out. I mind-linked my beta and best friend, Brad. Hey Brad, can you do something for me? What is it, my mighty alpha? He asked me immediately. I want you to spy on Lilian Rodriguez. She went out of the school and she might have walked into the woods. Got it? Sure, it will be done, my alpha. But may I ask why you are suddenly interested in this girl? No, you may not ask this question. Just do as I say. I growled at him. And make sure she doesn't see you, remember? Yes, alpha. Lilian's POV. After the encounter with my mate, Abbott Davis, I went outside to the woods and went behind a tree and shifted into my wolf form. In my wolf form, my right ear had a little bit of black and my tail had a white colour at my tail tip. I love my wolf very much. I ran for a few minutes. After a while, I just walked slowly and came upon a pond. I drank some water there and put my head on my paws. Why did she reject us? Whimpered my wolf. Who knows? Just forget about him for now. I don't want him to ruin my entire day. We don't need him, I said to her and tried to calm her down. But you know we need him, Lily. I did not answer her this time. After that, she just lay down and whimpered quietly. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my chest, but I tried my best to shrug it off. If he doesn't want me, then just let him go away. Chapter 4. I still felt that bloody pain in my chest, but it didn't bother me that much. After a while, the pain stopped. I got up and ran back to the tree where I put my clothes. Then, I shifted back to my human form and walked back to school. I felt a pair of eyes watching me, and I smelled that scent which drove my wolf insane when the school bell rang a few minutes ago in the school parking lot. I went to my white beast and drove home. My wolf is still whimpering, and I comforted her. Relax, my love. We will be okay, I said kindly to her. But she just kept crying and howling in pain. She didn't even bother to answer me. Abbott Davis. He must pay for what he's done, and I might happen to know the person who can help me. Hannah Abbott's POV. I had it rough with Krystal, but it didn't feel good like it was before. You idiot. That's because she's not our mate. My wolf growled at me. You should stay away from this, I replied to him in fury. He then growled at me again. After that, he started to ignore me. I mind-linked Brad. Hey, did she look in pain? I asked him eagerly with a smirk on my face. First, you need to tell me why you care. Then I shall tell you what you want, he answered. All right, she's my mate, I said in a plain tone, but I do feel a bit of regret when I tell him the truth. What? What did you just say? He must be shocked by my answer. I said, she is my mate. But I rejected her because I wanted to get along with Krystal. I said while growled, how dare you reject your mate? What is on your mind, Abbott? Do you even know who her parents are? He screamed at me shockingly. Who are they? Oh my God, Abbott. Her parents are the strongest warriors in our pack. I was shocked that she was the daughter of the strongest warriors in our pack. How come I didn't even know that? She never trained with other warriors. I see. Her parents must train her personally. I didn't say anything to my beta for a while. Then I heard him saying, anyway, if you insist to know how she went, she didn't feel the pain. She just sat there near the pond quietly while thinking, what? She didn't feel the pain. My wolf howled in pride, but he also felt a bit of worry. No, I have my Krystal already. I can't let her have any chance. I shall make her break. Chapter 5. As soon as I went home, I changed into a white tank top and black shorts. After that, I quickly took out my phone, dialed Hannah. Where have you been, Lily? I thought you got into big trouble. Hannah screamed at me the moment she picked up the phone. I held my phone away from my ear just so that my ear won't get hurt. Her voice was so loud indeed. Hannah, I tried to explain everything, but she kept talking, so I had to scream her back. Hannah, can you just be quiet for a moment so that I can ever have a chance to explain everything to you? It worked. It worked. I sighed frustratingly and said, all right, Hannah, I'm fine. Just meet me at my house in half an hour. I'll explain everything to you. Okay, I'll see you soon, Lily. No need to get your knickers in a twist, she said while chuckling. This from the girl who spent fewer hours picking a worthy date dress at the mall, I said pointedly. I really hated shopping, and my wardrobe isn't even half full. Come on, Lily. You know I had a date with... Bye, Hannah. See you soon, I said, and then hung up. 30 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I ran downstairs and opened the door. There stood my best friend, Hannah. Okay, Lily. Lily, tell me what happened on Earth, she said the moment she saw me. Hi, Hannah, I said while rolling my eyes with a smirk on my face while leaning against the doorframe to let her in. She rolled her eyes as she stepped into my house. So, Lily, can you please tell me now what happened this morning? She asked again. Well, I told her the entire story. How I met my mate and got rejected by him. How I felt the pain in the chest when I was in the woods. Then she just widened her eyes and stared at me. Oh, I feel pity for you. I shrugged it off and looked out the window. Then I said, doesn't matter to me actually. But it got my wolf worried. Of course your wolf is worried, Hannah said. She needs her mate. And you need him too. So we need to make him regret rejecting you. But how? I looked at her and smiled maliciously. That's exactly why I asked you to come here, Hannah. What do you mean? What can I do for you? Hannah asked me confusingly. I bit my lips and said, you know what? We are going shopping. What? Lily, she exclaimed with her mouth gaping. I thought you hated shopping. Yes, I did. But would you like to accompany me? Sure, Lily. I'll do it. She soon recovered from the shock. Oh, God. What have I got myself into? Chapter 6. The next day was the weekend, so we went shopping. But to be honest, it felt like hell to me. I wore my black shirt and white jeans with white toms. Can we go home now already, Hannah? We've been here long enough. I whine at her. She just rolled her eyes at me and said, what's the hurry? We've only been here for 2 hours. Then she gave me a hug and continued saying excitedly, come on, dear, just one more store and we will go home. All you got so far was some skinny jeans, tank tops, a few shorts, bras and panties from Victoria's Secrets and shoes. Now we will head for the ultimate clothing. Dresses? No. No, 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 no. I whispered a small at first, but then I said loudly, Hannah, you know how I feel about dresses. Please, Lily, if you want him to regret, you have to look sexy. Fine, I said, clearly felt annoyed. Why? She said happily. Then she dragged me to a store. There I chose 3 dresses. Do you know what the colors were? Yep, you got it. It was black, white, and purple .68. I wore the black one first. It was simple and had a red neckline. It reached mid-thigh. I showed it to Hannah and she gave me 2 thumbs up. The second dress was the purple one. It had little purple flowers on the skirt and its top was white. Hannah said I looked like a flower girl in a sexy way 5/5. The third one was definitely a winner. Why, you ask? Because Hannah jumped up and down while clapping excitingly. I chuckled at her, but I have to agree with her. The white dress made my green eyes pop. It was mid-thigh and it was strapless. It had a net outside the skirt with little yellow and white flowers. I bought some tights, boots, sneakers, mascara, and lip gloss. 4 for 4, I went home after that and changed into my sport bra and sweatpants since my dad wants to bring me to the pack house and train them and said, and I quote, "Go there and show them who is their boss." 1:27. We went to the pack house. This is my first time coming to this hall, and my first expression was utter shock. 3. You could host a homecoming in that house. It was gorgeous. Anyway, we went to the pack members and I tied my hair into a side ponytail, 5 to 6. We found the pack members, and when my dad clapped his hands, they all shut up. Then my dad said, "All right, everyone, I'm gonna let my daughter take care of you lot because I have some business to take care of." My dad didn't train me with the pack because he wanted to show that even a girl like me can be stronger. He was my personal trainer. I really admire my dad. He told me that if anyone tried to attack me, I might as well learn to fight before the pack does. I did just that, and I made him proud. 5-2, my dad turned to me and said, "Good luck, love. I love you." But, I replied, "I love you too, Daddy. 80. I turned back to the pack members and looked at them. As I was about to talk, I smelled my mate's scent. I tried to ignore it, but my wolf clearly had other ideas. She wanted to run into his arms and kiss him, but I growled at her and kept control. 2, all right. My name is Lilian, if you didn't know. You might want to be quiet, boys. Don't want to catch flies, do we?" I said jokingly. They instantly silenced their mouths, but their eyes were full of want. 4-5, I heard a growl, but ignored it. "I want you lot to fight in your human forms." I said it to them, but then I heard a high-pitched voice that said, "We are werewolves. Why should we fight in our human forms when we can fight in our wolf forms?" I growled at how annoying that voice was. I turned to see who it was, and only found the most attractive girl in our school, Krystal. She was wearing a tank top that showed too much cleavage and a pair of shorts that looked like a skirt 5-1. "You don't even know how to fight, do you?" "Holla! Don't come in crawling around here and tell us what to do," she said with a smug look. It is quite natural for her to think that I don't know how to fight. Because I never showed up in this training hall. 5, I grabbed her neck and pinned her neck to the ground. Then I growled threateningly at her. "Is that a challenge, Krystal?" I said to her through gritted teeth. 9-3, I could feel my eyes turning black. Then she said with a smug look, "I swear I'll show you a true fight in a minute." 31. She shifted into her wolf and tried to pounce me, but I dodged it swiftly. When I saw her wolf form, I burst out laughing and held my sides. I felt tears rolling down my face. Her wolf was a dirty blonde color and was so small. She almost looked like she just shifted into a pup 99. I looked at her with a smug look and went behind a tree, took off my clothes, and guess what? Right, I'm not planning to shift at all. When I got out, they all looked shocked. I was bigger than most she-wolves because I had warrior's blood in me. She whimpered at the sight of me. I looked at her with a smug look. I was twice of her size. She then growled at me and tried to pounce me twice in a consecutive row, but I dodged them both again. I finally said, 3 strikes and you are out." I pinned her to the ground and bit her shoulder. She howled in pain and shifted back to her human form. 7. "Abbott, get this worthless woman out of my sight." I was pissed at her. Abbott carried her bridal style back to the pack house. My wolf growled seeing this scene, but I didn't care at all. I heard him screaming and shouting at her. 61. "Anyone else want to fight me?" I questioned, furiously. They shook their heads and looked at me with fear. I smirked and said, "All right then, start your hand-to-hand combat in your human forms. Now." Chapter 7. Abbott's POV. After school, I went home and went straight to my room and started pacing back and forth. I was thinking hard on how to break her 48. "Nothing can break our mate," my wolf said proudly. I scowled at him and said, "Oh, now you're talking to me." He just rolled his eyes and ignored me. 4-3. I was thinking so hard that I didn't realize what time it was. It was already 11 at night. I decided to go to bed. As soon as my head hit my pillow, I fell into a deep sleep like 9. The next morning, or afternoon, because I woke up late and just remembered we had pack training in the afternoon. Damn, I'm gonna be late. I quickly took a shower and wore sweatpants and a plain black t-shirt. I jogged downstairs. When I opened the door, I smelled my mate's scent. I thought my nose was playing tricks on me, but it wasn't, because she was standing there clear as day and, I have to admit, she did look hot. I choked back to growl and walked to the pack. 30, during the training session. Krystal tried to attack Lilian twice. On the third time, Lilian pounced on Krystal and pinned her to the ground. Lilian bit her shoulder. Krystal howled in pain and shifted back to her human form. Abbott, get this worthless woman out of my sight. Lilian mind linked to me furiously. I carried Krystal bridal style to the pack house. When we were in there, she started whining and said, Abbott, she beat me up. Are you going to let her get away with it? 16. I growled and said, you deserved it, Krystal. I mean, you disrespected our strongest warrior's daughter. What do you think you were doing? I screamed at her 48. She is nothing but a useless woman. She isn't strong. I'm stronger. She said stubbornly, God damn it, Krystal. Don't you get it? She just beat you up terribly, and she is twice your size. There's no way you can win her. I shouted at her. 103. She just stared at the ground and I gave up. I went back outside and trained with the others. After that, we had dinner, and I went to bed and fell asleep instantly. Lilian's POV. I can't believe I'm seriously going through with this crap. When I got up this morning, I took a hot shower and got dressed. I took my new white dress and wore black tights and my white sneakers. Hey, I love sneakers. Not all girls like heels, 561. I took a look at my reflection and gasped. The girl in the mirror wasn't the old, shy, nerdy Lilian Rodriguez. It was the new, sexy, and hot Lilian Rodriguez. The dress hugged my figure, and I thought to myself, let's get this over with. 52. We'll make our mate regret rejecting us. My wolf said evilly. She still whimpers and howls in pain. But she's trying, and I love her for that .62. I love you too, Lily, she said in a sweet tone. I chuckled at her. I grabbed my bag, my phone, earphones, and a bunch of other junk and went downstairs. I wasn't always hungry, so I grabbed my waffle and kissed my parents on the cheek and said, bye, parents. Laters. 72. I grabbed my car keys and went to my white beast, put the keys to the ignition, and drove to school. Abbott, you'd better regret before it's too late. Chapter 8. Lilian's POV. As I reached school, I got out of my white beast, put my shades on, and locked my car. Everyone was gawking at me, and I heard whispers from the guys like, damn, she's hot. Or, I wonder who that is. And from the girls it was, who does she think she is? Or, what a disgusting girl she is. 21. My wolf growled when she heard that, and I pinned Krystal, who said that, to the ground and said to her furiously, what did you say? She had fear written in her eyes and gulped and said, nothing. 72. I let her go, and when I took off my shades, everyone's mouth dropped open. I smirked. I walked straight to Hannah, who was talking to Fiona. I wasn't really close with her, but she's cool. I called out to Hannah. Hey, Hannah. She turned around and had a confused expression on her face and said, I'm sorry, but do I know you? 63. I chuckled and put my hand to my heart with a fake hurt look on my face and said, Hannah, how could you forget your best friend Lilian? She stared at me then. Her eyes got wide and she hugged me while squealing loudly and exclaiming, Lily? Is that you? Oh God, you look like sexy model. 65. I chuckled. Then I smelled the scent of my mate. I heard him growling, but I didn't want to turn around. But my wolf had other ideas. Turn around, Lily, she pleaded. I growled in annoyance because I didn't want to see his face. On the other hand, it was tempting to see his expression. Which to choose? Which to choose? I chose to see his expression. My wolf howled with joy. I turned around and saw his face, and was it priceless? His eyes were almost turning black, and his knuckles was white. I could tell he was trying to control his wolf. I smirked at him, and he continued growling. I asked him, still with the smirk on my face, What's wrong, Abbott? Cat got your tongue? 94. The people around us were trying to control their mirth of laughter. Abbott continued to growl at me, but then he had a smirk on his face and said, Trying to impress me, eh? 11. I raised an eyebrow at him and asked, question time, why on earth would I want to impress you? If you have a reason thinking I wanted to impress you, please tell them. The people deserve to know. I smirked at him. Without saying a word, he smirked back at me with his teeth gritted. 26. I then burst out laughing and said, Ha ha, do not even dare to answer my question, Abbott. Okay, I've had enough. Now, like I said before, just go away. My wolf was whimpering, but I just smirked at my rejected mate .63. He looked at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish, and with that I turned around and left him there. Don't worry, my love, I said to my wolf sympathetically. He got what he deserves. 4. She whimpered, then said, maybe, and went to put her head on her paws and continued to whimper. I frowned. Then I growled because no one, and especially my mate, will not hurt my wolf's feelings. I went to my locker, grabbed my books, and went to homeroom. Hannah was already waiting at our usual place 112. After homeroom, I was the last to get out of homeroom. Then before I turned a corner, I smelled my mate's scent. I just ignored it, then went to my locker. When I reached there, I got out my books and walked through the now empty hallway. His scent got stronger. Then, when I almost reached my next class, I saw him snogging with Krystal. I just stared at him then. When he must have realized I was there, he stopped kissing her, looked up and started smirking at me. He opened his mouth and said, "What's the matter with you? Jealous?" 7 to 9. I just held a blank expression because I knew what he was trying to do. He was trying to break me. It didn't work. Of course, so I did the only thing I always did. I walked away. Halfway through the hallway, I turned around halfway and said to him with a blank expression and asked him, "Do I look like I care, dude?" 40. He growled at me and said, "Don't you dare insult your alpha." I just kept walking, and when I reached my classroom door, I put my hand on the knob and turned to him and said with a smirk, "And what do you want to do?" 76. After that, I entered my next lesson, sat down at my usual sit, and focused on nothing but what the teacher was saying. 0.5. Abbott's POV. When I reached school this morning, I smelled my mate. When I reached the front of the school, I saw this babe standing there. My wolf started to howl and purr with joy. I was wondering why. But then, when I heard her voice, and I knew it was my mate 22, I growled at how she looked, and after our chats, after my makeout session with Krystal, I was even more furious. After that, I was near the point of shifting, so I ran out of school and shifted while shredding my clothes. I punched a tree, and it fell. After that, I just walked deep in the woods to calm down and thought the same thing over and over again. 160. How am I going to break her? Chapter 9. Abbott's POV. I was still in my wolf form, and when I reached a small pond, I paced back and forth on how to break Lilian, also known as my mate 196. I kept thinking and thinking and thinking and nothing. Then suddenly, I came up with the idea, and the only way to break her was by, or maybe that could work 0.7D, but kept growling and disagreeing and said, "Don't you dare hurt our mate, you damn bastard." 75. I growled furiously at him and said, "You just stay out of this." 89. I still kept thinking about that idea on how to break her, but there's no way that would work. But suppose it did. I smirked evilly and mind-linked my beta Brad and asked him, "Brad?" He replied in a horrible British accent, "How may I help you, kind sir?" I chuckled, then told him, "Come to the pond outside of the school in the woods." 2. Why? He asked. Just hurry up. I want to tell you how I'm going to break my mate. Are you sure you want to do this? He asked to be sure. I growled through MindLink and he said in surrender, all right, geez. It's your funeral. 8. I smirked because my idea was pure genius. You better watch your back, my precious mate 16v4. Lilian's POV. After school, I went to the woods to let off some steam. I went behind a tree, stripped and shifted. After the sound of cracking of bones, I was in my wolf form. I grabbed my clothes with my teeth and ran, and ran, and ran. After a while, I just walked slowly around and sniffed my surroundings. 8. I kept sniffing until I smelled something oddly strange about it. It took me a few seconds to figure what it was. A rogue. I quickly ran to the source and saw a brown wolf with a cream fur covering its paws like socks. It looked so sad and it had scars all over the body. Some barely visible. It shifted back behind a tree and wore its clothes, and I realized it was a girl. She sat down under a tree, and I must say that her hair really complements her wolf fur. She had cream at the bottom of her hair. I quickly went behind a tree, shifted back, and wore my clothes 0.5. I approached her cautiously. I accidentally stepped on a branch and she heard me and saw me. I quickly said, "Don't worry, I won't hurt you." 2. She just stared at me with her brown, terrified eyes. I walked towards her slowly and knelt down and sat next to her. "What's your name, love?" I asked gently. She gulped, then answered, "Maggie." I asked her slowly, "What are you doing at the Silver Angel Pack's territory?" 25. Her eyes started to water and she said, "I ran away from my one pack." I asked her, "Why?" Her tears started to fall and I put my arm around her shoulder and comforted her. When her tears died down a bit, she replied, "They abused me, even my older brother, because he blamed me for my parents' death. I didn't even know what I did. I was only 4 and he was 8. 77. She stopped for a minute, then continued, on my 16th birthday, after all the abuse, I had the courage to run away. She started to sob again. Then I mind-linked Alpha Chris and told him, Alpha, there's a rouge here, but she means no harm. 19. He mind-linked back and said, bring her to the pack house. But first, does she have clothes on? I stiffed a chuckle and said, yes, she has clothes on, Alpha. He replied, very well, now hurry to the pack house, Lilian. I said, yes, sir. I quickly got up and looked down at her and said kindly, come on, Maggie. Alpha Chris asked me to bring you to the pack house. At first, she started to tear up again, but held it in and said, okay. I said, well, hurry up and shift behind the tree and follow me. 3. We both shifted behind the trees and ran to the pack house. Before we reached there, we shifted back behind a tree and went to the pack house. 6. My dad ever told me where the Alpha's office was, and since I have an incredible memory, we went inside. When we were inside, I could smell my mate's scent close by. I choked back to growl. We hurried, walked up the steps, and found the Alpha's office, Bont 1. He looked surprised to see me, and I knew why, because I have never been inside the pack's house before. Before he asked me, I quickly opened my mouth and told him, my father told me the directions to your office, and I have a good memory, so I remembered. He still looked shocked, then chuckled and smiled at me. 4. I understand. Oak, now where is the rouge? He asked me. Maggie appeared from behind me. He looked at her kindly and asked her what her name is. She answered, I'm Maggie Jones, Alpha. Before the Alpha could ask her another question, the door was suddenly slammed open, and the person who stood there was no other than the future beater, Brad 15. I was going to ask him what he was doing here when I heard Maggie gasp. Then Brad replied while growling, mine. Chapter 10. Lilian's POV. There was an awkward silence. Then Maggie quickly hid behind me, buried her head on my back, and sobbed quietly. I was shocked to see her sobbing. Then I knew why. She couldn't trust anyone here, even her mate. But she trusted me because I found her in the woods once before Brad was still growling, and I quickly said to him, Brad, control yourself. I just found her in the woods, and you're scaring her with your damn growling. He quickly stopped growling and had regret in his eyes. Maggie looked up to see his face. She was crying slightly now, and she said in a whisper, Mate. Brad looked at her and he just grinned. I pulled Maggie from hiding behind me and put her in front. She just stood there, with scared and sad eyes. I knew what she was thinking, so did Brad. He walked up to her slowly and wrapped his arms around her. She froze and backed away to stand near me. Brad had hurt in his eyes. I whispered to her quietly so that only she could hear. Don't worry, he won't hurt you, love. He's been waiting for you for a long time. I'll be right next to you all the way. He really cares about you. She looked up at me, her lips forming a small smile. 9. She whispered back, thank you. I'm just scared he might reject me. Brad heard that and growled and said, I won't reject you. I care about you so much. Please trust me, Maggie. Maggie shivered when he called upon her name. His eyes were shining and had happiness and love in them. 9-2. She gasped and looked at me, and I nodded at Brad. He stepped forward and wrapped his arms around her, and she quickly melted into them. Brad had a goofy grin on his face, and his eyes had tears of joy. He kissed her head and looked into her brown eyes. 40. The Alpha cleared his throat and they looked away from each other. But Brad put his arm around her small waist. Before we were so rudely interrupted, said the Alpha, giving Brad a glare. But he had a twinkle in his eyes. He continued, I was going to ask Maggie what pack was she from. Maggie stiffened but then relaxed when Brad kissed her temple 3. She was quiet for a few minutes, then opened her mouth and said, Invictus Sword Pack. We all gasped because that pack seemed so kind. I guess we all thought wrong. Brad growled because he hated the thought of anyone hurting his mate. 23. The Alpha broke the silence by asking Maggie, well then, would you like to join our pack, Maggie? Her eyes got wide, but then she started saying, yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, she said while squealing. Then she stopped and blushed red. Our Alpha chuckled and said, very well. We'll hold a ceremony on Saturday afternoon to welcome you. She grinned so much that she almost started to cry all over again. Brad hugged her and showed her to his room, which will now be their room. I sighed sadly while walking out of the pack house and thought, why can't our mate be like that? 82. Maggie's POV. I was so happy because I was now in a pack that wouldn't abuse me and I found my mate. He showed me to his room and we stepped inside. He said, you can use my clothes. There in the closet. 5. I nodded and smiled at him and said, "Thank you, Brad." I did a thing that shocked him. It even shocked me. You lot know what I did? I 13? I kissed him on the cheek. When I realized what I did, I backed away, looked down and murmured, "Sorry." He chuckled and said, "You don't have to be scared, Maggie. I won't hurt you. And by the way, thanks for the kiss." He gave me a wink and a cheeky grin to too. I giggled. Then he said, "Want me to help you with your shower?"